Welcome, folks, to the High Tech Podcast. This is episode 190 something, 191. Excellent.
Yep.
Did it?
You
did
were
it
off
great.
by one. We were so close.
I threw myself off by prepping myself to breathe, express, and open the episode, and then I did this thing where I sit up in my chair. I've noticed, because I edit the podcast, I've noticed I do that.
Do you do that a lot?
Almost every time I open an episode.
Oh, that's
and so
funny.
as soon as I saw it, it threw me off, and here we all are. Folks, this is William Millingworth, one of your two hosts, and we are here with Joshua Swartz, my co-host, my friend, my buddy, my pal.
What
Here to
is
give you
up,
another
folks?
episode of the High Tech Podcast. Yes.
Yeah, it's another week.
We've stumbled our way through as we usually do. Success. I would consider this a normal episode.
Oh yeah, this is we were told by our social media manager that our disorganized openings. He didn't use the word disorganized, but that was my interpretation. The subtext that I read in, as we often do. Our disorganized openings were a plus. So Chris, we're leaning into it now, man. We're just we're being our weird, awkward opening selves. You know,
I didn't even try. I wasn't even trying to try.
See?
We never
Yeah,
try.
you're
We
good.
just
No, we don't.
we just are.
This
so
is
good at
just
this.
us. If you're ever wondering if these are like our podcast personalities, incorrect. This is just we each have one personality.
And it is this.
It is this.
You're welcome. We're sorry. Not sure which one,
It depends
frankly.
on the day, I guess. Yeah, anyway.
As always, let's do the quick, easy stuff. Make sure, folks, subscribe, like, reshare us in general. We love doing this. It's a big, fun thing for us. We spend a few hours every Tuesday night preparing, planning, recording, and then a few more hours editing and website building and stuff throughout the week, just making sure that this is available. But if you love the conversations, please find us on our social medias at High Tech Podcast or at High Tech Pod, and follow, like, and share. That's how you help podcasters, right? That's how we get more audience. That's how we get more topics. That's how we have more friends join us, right? And we can then start the bidding wars to see who, Robin, Justin, or Steve Miletto, become the most known guest on the podcast.
Because it is a competition now. We had an AI answer on our last episode who it was, and Robin has won. Not just Robin S. Jeffers has won.
Yes.
It was
specific.
Yeah, it was so specific. It was hilarious.
It knows, Robin. It knows.
Yeah, it knows. It's got it.
After you've subscribed, liked, retweeted all the good things, then email us at inbox@hightechpod if you have an idea. If you want to join us, if you are one of the many tools we've talked about, if you are an old friend we haven't talked to in a while, slide in. We want to talk. Let's catch back up, get something on the docket, and we'll continue making the next hundreds of episodes of the podcast together. And last but not least, head over to our website, hightechpod.us, where all of our episodes are hosted. All of them are there. There are the YouTube video links, the back in the old days Spotify links.
Yeah, there's still some. Spotify file audio.
The
links.
ancient days where there's not even video. There's just audio episodes in the early ones. So,
but it's worth
find
checking out. Every week, like Will said, there's links to stuff. But like when we generate games in the podcast or do things, we link out to this stuff. Robin was just playing our tanks game the other day at work. She didn't know she could play it. She wasn't paying attention when we said that on the episode. That was fun. Just a small
watching her play,
because she'll hear this. She did not know to use WASD to move around because I take that for granted that you and I are just used to that as people who
did
play
she
video
try to
games on
use
our
the
computer.
arrows?
No, she didn't know what to do, and then I think I drove and she shot with the space bar and the mouse. It was the whole thing. It was
perfect.
We did not make it past level 1. We were all at level 1, but I appreciate you trying it out, Robin.
Try and try again. You'll get there someday.
It's fine. It happens.
Or stick to pies. Totally fine. Totally acceptable.
That also is a thing.
So, that's the bit. Now, this episode is continuing from last week. And ironically, typically, Josh and I are backwards design folks. Almost everything else we do in life.
Speak for yourself. I like to forward design. You know?
Well, this is what we did with this one, right? Last week we showed you the finished product. This week we're going to open up the hood. I don't know. Usually you would kind of set the foundation and then go, but whatever. We're doing it this way.
I like to build my house's roof first. You know?
Could you imagine? All right, we're going to put it on toothpicks.
We're just going to get that up there. We're going to get the roof up.
And great. Build down.
And we're going to build down. It's going to be great. Yeah.
In last week's episode 190, we introduced our idea of AI buddies. And part of that is us just being snarky. Like, people are calling them assistants, agents, there's all these different names. We're just going to skip that, call them buddies. We want these AI buddies specifically to be able to help us complete tasks. And sometimes that's just by retrieving information and presenting us information in novel ways. Or, agentic AI is leaning in towards having the assistant take action on your behalf. We're not getting into all that tonight necessarily, but did want to bring that back up. Like, that's a little bit of the premise and foundation we set last week in episode 190, and I think it's important to have this frame of mind. We're going to take a quick look at some of the tools in a second of like what we did last week to better set the stage, but the goal of the entire episode here is to build live. We're going to build a buddy, an assistant for us, the High Tech Podcast, live. So you're going to get to see how easy the one last week was, and then we're going to see how hard it is to build one with a bigger purpose. Because last week, all we wanted was for the AI assistant to return information to us about the High Tech Podcast. So if we gave it information, all we had to do was ask it questions. This week, we're going to give it a purpose. Our buddy, by the time we're done this episode, fingers crossed, will be able to help Josh and I create content for the podcast. Yeah. Write episode ideas, write titles, write things for YouTube descriptions, et cetera, et cetera. We want to get content out of it that could help us create content for the podcast. And while, yes, last week that tool could have maybe given us information about the podcast, it may not have been good. I don't know. We didn't test it as that very far, but we may not have been good at like actually generating content that would be useful for us. So
yeah, I real quick.
Yep,
I just thought about this. Are we able to give it a name tonight?
The buddy? Yeah.
The buddy. We can give it whatever name we want, right? We should call it Mordecai, after the elf, our Christmas elf from the when Mordecai the elf took over our Twitter.
Do you got this? Do you have the spelling somewhere for that?
Yeah, I'm gonna ping it to you here in Discord.
That'd be great.
I think that would be hilarious if we called him Mordecai, and Chris would love that, I think, as well.
Oh yeah, you gotta have continuity. Mordecai will be back.
Continuity in there, build it. So, disclaimer: while Will's looking at the spelling of Mordecai, this is a very visual-heavy episode. So, if you're listening to just audio, we will try our best to describe, but you've seen how that's gone in the past, so I encourage you
get on YouTube, get on YouTube, Spotify video,
or get on Spotify video and go check out the video version of this episode if you want to see how Will and I are about to hopefully successfully build this thing.
Don't set their expectations too high, Josh.
I said hopefully successfully. Okay, that's all I'm saying. Okay.
All right. Yeah. Let's. This is an easy one. Let's dive in. Let's get things on screen. So we've got things moved. We've got last week's materials, and we are doing everything live. So the next thing is not prepared, but a few things we wanted to touch up on from last week with the High Tech Pod bot. One thing that we did not demonstrate, and now I should make sure this feature is on, of course, as I go into here. These bots and these assistants get instructions. They get tools and data sources, and then they get a naming convention. There's three very simple features.
Yeah.
One of the things I want to demonstrate, though, is that they can visualize data, right? So I'm just making sure that feature's on. We can do that with our High Tech Pod expert assistant here. And let's ask it. Let's ask it. Come on now. A question. How many episodes are in the High Tech Podcast? I think we already know that answer from last week, but we're going to get some basic numbers here in place for ourselves. Okay, so we've got some basics there. I'm not sure if it's up to date, actually, because we have more than 185 episodes.
It only said 185. That's interesting.
Wonder why it did that. Well, we'll keep working with the data we have. We're not going to fix these problems because they're irrelevant. Now, of that number, how many episodes include interviews with other guests? Right? So now we're going to get a second number. I'm leaning in towards like a very basic pie chart, but I wanted to make sure we have some basic data in place first. All right. So we've got, it's using round numbers, 185 episodes, approximately 50 episodes, including guests. That's pretty good, dude. I think it might be more than that, personally.
I'm pretty sure it's
still
more than
50's
that.
good.
I feel like that's debatable, but we'll see. Now, I want to kind of clarify what Will's kind of been talking about here a second ago. Like, because we know it's wrong to a certain degree, there's probably something that needs fixed in the what it's connected to, what it's looking at, right? We have a lot of different databases and what we're looking at. So this would be a case where, like, somebody working with Dust setting it up, this would be what you're testing to see where you're at, right? But yeah, it created a nice little visual.
So it's very simple. This is not useful data, not useful pie chart here, but you watched it do it live, so it's broken this down by 50 and 130 episodes without guests. That's right, 135. So we've got a basic pie chart here. Now, if you can think of something better on the fly, go for it, Josh. But like, if I've got this, I could ask it any kind of question about the podcast and have it break that down into visualization for us. It's given us the basic numbers, percentages, nice and easy. And then I can probably, here it is. I can download this image. I can export it to something else. I can show the code behind it. And I can take this and go use it elsewhere. So this is a really good feature that these assistants offer us in having any data you have access to, being able to do a basic analysis through these visualizations.
Can I propose real quick before we go into building things, just what I would do with AI when I'm not confident the data is correct?
Yep.
Maybe ask it back, go, are you sure this is correct? We are pretty confident, or however you want to put this in here. We're pretty confident we have 190 episodes, and there are more that include guests. Maybe put guests. You said interviews, which might be why it's pulling up the wrong thing. We more often refer to guests, like it's a guest, not an interview.
All right, let's get it to clarify. And kind of like last week, I think I'll scroll up a little bit here, let it think.
I will say one interesting thing that it's already doing that's very cool is it said it's looking for the term FT for featuring. Featuring with examining episode descriptions more carefully. That's cool. I mean, you could see it is like thinking pretty thoroughly about what might cause something like this.
Oh, I can identify significantly more guest appearances. And you know what? The good thing about this as a demonstration is I did not have to change my instructions for the assistant, the buddy, and I did not have to provide it that. But it took an educated guess that is correct. Yeah. That's useful information to work with. All right, here's the breakdown. 190 total episodes, it's claiming. 85 episodes feature guests. That's a significant difference. And 105 episodes are hosted by just Will and Josh. That's great.
Yeah, that feels more accurate. Yeah. I could probably say 85 is probably right. I don't know. It's tough to say because we did a pretty heavy guest stint for a while. Right.
The best way to evaluate that would be to get the real data out and
what's the little citing number down there, just out of curiosity, that it's citing?
So it's citing 1, and it's citing 1 and 2, and then it's pointing to these references. So it's using our episodes page, where it has all of our episodes listed. And then for some reason, it's specifically referencing episode 130 with my brother, Dr. Charles Illingworth.
That's actually kind of funny. Okay, anyway. All right,
I guess he's a thought leader in the field.
Okay. Okay, enough of that. Let's try to build the bigger, better Mordecai.
That's it.
Yeah.
So, let's create ourselves a new agent.
And also a caveat here, as we talked about in the first episode, Dust is a more premium tool, right? So, like what Will and I are showing, while in theory it could be done with some other AI tools, Dust helps put some stuff together. And while we always would love a sponsor on the High Tech Podcast, Dust is not a sponsor of the High Tech Podcast, so this is purely just our thoughts on Dust and what Will's been doing recently. So, enough of those.
Something we did not talk about at all last week is they do have these kind of pre-serve or like prepared ideas, right?
Okay.
So it may be useful for some folks, maybe even us tonight, to pick one of these because it gives you a starting point for instructions, right? So a UX writer, product copy, maybe not engineering, no. Finance, no. Hiring, no. Knowledge, that sounds better. Generate, ask team, research. It might be useful to have it built from a research point. Oh, there we go. Marketing. Content writer. That sounds more like what we're trying to accomplish.
That's kind of what we're looking for. Yeah, let's do content.
Let's start
writer.
there. So we're going to use this template, which means it's got basic instructions already written, and it'll get us started. Now,
so the advantage, Will, of using the predefined stuff is that it's already got a base set of instructions that you're adapting off of then. Okay.
Yep. That's what's here. Like a second ago, I showed you the 6 lines of text I used for ours last week. This one is already emphasizing SEO, identifying topic and keywords, outlining, etc., etc. Now, we're going to have to tweak this a little bit. We're not going to spend the time redrafting these instructions. But the basics that I will cut into here is, okay, where it says company name, let's make sure that's High Tech Podcast.
And while Will's doing this, just a couple things. Will's written down some of his notes on steps for creating these buddies with Dust specifically, but other solutions have the similar stuff. Obviously, you want to connect it to your data sources first. This is the thing that a lot of people don't understand, I think, about AI when they're just used to using like ChatGPT or even some of the other tools we talk about, like Claude and Perplexity. Those are AI tools that are connected to the internet purely, right? So like it's going off of the whole internet. And that's part of the reason you have a lot of kind of, I still don't love the word hallucination, but it's what everybody calls them, like AI giving fake answers. Like I just had that happen earlier today. Will and I were trying to find a tool that did something that we were looking for, and it gave me 3 tools in a list, and all 3 of those tools were fake. None of them were real tools. I Googled them. Right. They don't exist. So, like, that happens because it's looking at a broad set of information often. Where Will and I are seeing a lot of power in AI usage, in education, in corporate, like institutionally, organizationally, I think is actually connecting AI to specific data sources that you have so that you can build expert AI assistants or tools in those resources, right? So like Will and I have connected this to the entirety of our databases in Notion for the podcast. So it's pulling from every episode like drafting page. It's pulling from a whole bunch of stuff for us. So it's got a lot of our own content to work off of, which is super powerful. I recently was testing a tool for Instructor who runs Canvas, the learning management system, and they have a solution like this. It's connected to your learning management system solely. And I can ask it questions of its data, and it's able to give me back pretty solid responses on stuff that's going on in Canvas because it's looking at just our instance of Canvas. These types of things are what Will and I honestly are really excited about from the AI standpoint, is these types of tools connected into specific data sources. So that's all a long way of explaining. You have to connect it to a data source first, and Dust has ways to do that. In this case, we connected it into Notion, we selected the databases we wanted it to look at, and it took a while to sync it because we had, I think this is the one, Will, that you had already started syncing. Was that right?
Correct.
Because we have so many things in Notion, it just took a little while.
And I have since synced, I think, the rest of our stuff, and it has access to more. I'm pretty sure I did that.
Yeah.
But, so while Josh was talking, thank you, a couple of things I edited was just changing this from, I probably missed a few, but it was mostly geared towards writing a blog. So we want podcast content. I am going to leave this as is for the moment because I think we are going to try to do things like writing episode titles, coming up with episode ideas, and it may not be good at that. So we're going to have to edit these instructions, and I want us to go through that process. I don't want to make it perfect to start.
Yeah.
I'm going to take those small tweaks and go for our next. Now, the biggest thing here, like Josh was saying, is getting these tools in place. I am going to allow it to web search and browse because our entire podcast is on the website. We have social media and other things. Like it could get novel information from the internet about us, but we're specifically going to give it a tool that searches through our data. And here I'll select the data sources and go for our Notion, right? So High Tech Podcast, everything in there. And then the Google Drive, we just were testing with that last week, so there's really nothing in there. But note, if you were building this, there's 2 things that happen with these connections. One, there's a bunch of standard ones that Dust has already built. Great. Easy. You can plug and play. 2, if you don't have one of those plug and plays, you have 2 options, right? So 2 actually becomes 2A and 2B. 2A, you can write custom APIs and draw from any of your other platforms. Like Dust is set up for that. They've got a good ingestion system, so it is up to whatever tool you're using if it has good exporting. I'll use Basecamp as an example, right? Josh and their team use Basecamp. Like, what's to say it couldn't search through that and give you relevant information based on everything you're gotten there? It depends on Basecamp's API, but that option is there as 2A. 2B, or not 2B, is Google Drive it. So if you can get something into Google Drive, this can see it. That is not perfect, but let's just say you could have data exports out of significant platforms you're using, automatically downloading those reports into a Google Drive folder that automatically uploads, that's automatically being monitored by this thing. Any data that passes through on the cron job is now accessible through this tool. You could go through a website or a certain platform you use, like an intranet platform. You could export the entire platform. This sounds ridiculous to say, but you could as PDFs, and then you put those PDFs in Google Drive and then see it. So like 2A is write custom APIs to pull from whatever your platform is. 2B would be take content out of whatever your platforms are and put them into Google Drive. If you're in that 2B world, if you're not using an existing connector or building a custom API, your static. Your data is static, and that's not as helpful. You have to maintain your data. What's good about this is these connectors is as long as Josh and I update our Notion, everything stays dynamic and up to speed with us. So lots of options there. You can use just flat files. You can play around with it, but you can play with this and meet your needs as you need to. You might require some development, but you can get there.
So now you're putting in a description then of what the data is. So you're telling it kind of.
It's more for me to be able to
okay.
reference. Okay. I think I can name this here, which this is something data Notion, right? So I want to give it that. So if I want to give it instructions, I can say reference the data Notion data source.
Oh, very cool.
Right.
So you can just kind of like mention the data source in your instructions instead of
save. And that's actually a point I'll go back to. I think it's relevant. There was a point here. Oh, on our website in our data sources, specifically data Notion. Right. So there I've just added that one piece to make sure it's going to pull from that.
Okay,
that
that's super cool.
Search data is there. Again, we could do more data sources. And again, you can include specific data. So you could upload something. You can extract and query tables. Like if you're getting into more technical setup, if you have databases, Notion databases is an example, you can build more, but we're not there and we don't need to be there for this purpose. Mm-hmm. So we don't need to data viz, but I could turn it on, turn it off. Reasoning is if you are probably more in the like engineering space, you're coding, you're trying to do maybe like in-depth wireframes, like if you're trying to build like something, if you're considering like building something that's huge, you need it to be able to process with you and be able to keep track of your first thoughts down to your 75th thoughts, if you will. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily relevant for us. I think the other advanced settings, man, steps, no. I'm trying to remember. I don't see it at the moment. We can set, that's actually a step back, isn't it? Advanced settings here. We can set which model it's using.
Okay.
So this is important. Claude can be a little long-winded. ChatGPT or GPT-4o could be a little like short. So you can play around with these to see what you like the most. I'm going to start ours with GPT-4, and then you can choose here. Deterministic would be like direct facts. Mm-hmm. I'm actually switching it to creative. We want it to help us create. So let's try it out. Our data sources are in place. Next. All right. We've got on the side window here the correct spelling and image. Making sure I've got everything on the side window here. Mordecai is our guy. There we go. So name, Mordecai. Change this image. Can I upload? Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent. Come here,
there
Mordecai.
It is.
There we go. All right.
Perfect. Actually, go to change. Can you crop it a little bit? Can we make his head? Can we make his head pop up as the main? This is just really dialing it in, you know.
Let's. I think I have to start over.
Oh, you have to re-upload it. Lame sauce. Okay.
But now if I do this, okay, it's.
Like we gotta go Facebook profile picture style here. You know what I mean?
There we go. There's Tom.
There's Mordecai.
Our little guy's
Look
ready
at
to
him.
go.
He's so ready to help. This is great.
Yeah.
This would have been hilarious to set up a Mordecai that wrote the Twitter responses for Chris. Like, Chris actually got
That
Mordecai
this
to
was
write
the-
it. Yeah, like, this was like the...
All right. Mordecai is a podcast writing phenom. He is ready to go. All right. And then this what I like about this is I can save this and he's done, but this is specifically an area where you should do your testing. So we can start to ask it questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Mordecai, name's already there. Don't even have to add him. He's good
That's
to
the
go.
only
He's ready to
problem
go.
with making his name Mordecai. Having to mention Mordecai is going to be kind of annoying.
And spell it every time. I think we give him a softball. What should we give him? A title, right? So
yeah, give us a title for a podcast episode.
Can you think up a new title for episode 184? Can you get me that? What is the current episode title? So let's think of a new title.
You're gonna have it
for episode
revise an
184.
existing one.
Yeah,
okay.
exactly. Let's start with something we know it already has this information.
Yeah, 84 currently is using AI to make games featuring ChatGPT.
And it answered the same thing. The current title is Here's Some Alternatives. There we go, Mordecai.
Harnessing AI, game creation with ChatGPT, revolutionizing game development with AI and ChatGPT, the future of gaming, AI and ChatGPT in action.
Not bad.
Not bad. Yeah, they're not bad. They're a little wordy for me.
Could you make them more punchy? Let's try. Let's see what he can do.
What does
with
punchy even mean? I don't even
Don't know.
Here's some punchier
titles.
Game on, AI magic with ChatGPT, level up
Done.
crafting games with ChatGPT power, AI
Done.
game changer, ChatGPT's creative surge. Those are
Can we
definitely
change
better.
the episode title?
Those are definitely better titles. I don't know that I like them better than our current one, just because it feels, I don't know. I mean, I guess it is punchier, but it's yeah. So, like, let me ask you a question.
I felt like that was a softball, though. Like,
Yeah.
go look at something that already exists.
Yeah.
Work with us a little bit.
So we realized he didn't create a great title at first, right? So, like, how would you revise the instructions to change that, right? Because we're testing, and our tests proved that he wasn't perfect.
So one of the things that I've learned about this instruction writing process, you'll notice on the left-hand side here, this is a lot of just wall of text, and that's acceptable.
Yeah.
The LLM is going to, quote-unquote, read all of it, top to bottom. Mm-hmm. What can be difficult for it, though, is organization, if you have priorities. So,
okay.
Right now, like, this first one would be a little bit of the context. I'm gonna lean into a system kind of like this. # your role. Right? And I'm going to tell it now, before we even get to there, use the # markers as an indicator of a new section of instructions for your actions. Right?
So you're telling it how you're organizing the instructions so that it knows how to look at it.
Correct. I'm not sure that something like ## or even just one hashtag or you can probably play with that. I'm not sure that there's any one better machine, but it's how I've been practicing it, so I kind of liked it. I'm gonna say like context, right? You do this, priority. Let's say tone of voice. You should marry the. No, I don't like marry. You should integrate good SEO writing, keywords, trending phrases, emojis, I don't know, with punchy writing. And then I'm going to give an example. Funny, pithy, quick-witted, strong language. I'm not gonna say strong language, or it's Mordecai's gonna grow a mouth, I think. But this is one of these examples.
So, question, right? So, like, we have a brand document.
Yep.
Our brand voice. Is this a place we could put stuff like for instance, target audience is in our brand voice, right? So let me copy and paste this over to you from our brand document. And Mordecai, we could eventually get to like reference this. But like for the instructions, we're doing things on the fly here, which ironically, I know why you're using the hash now. I didn't realize the hash is what is doing headers in the back end.
Yeah.
I just forgot. I just realized that. So I just pinged you. I pinged you
Yeah,
our target
I saw
audience.
the hashes and it came through on my side. I was actually, seriously, breaking the fourth wall here. I was clicking on my share screen, trying to get something to change when I wasn't actually on the right screen. Again, I should reference the High Tech Podcast brand guide for all style requirements. That's a part of the context for this bad boy. All right. And then you gave me these, target audience. So I can give it the specific information. Yeah. That should be somewhere in there, but let's make sure that this is under context. So we just got a little bit more of our instructions in place here, and
Okay.
I can go down through here and add the hashes to all those existing, but it's not worth, in my opinion, doing that for our purpose tonight. I think by giving it some of these, it'll still be on point.
Okay.
Let's hit next. So let's give it that same task.
Yeah, let's give it the same task.
Can you give us an alternate title for episode 184? Let's see if it comes out punchier with some new instructions. Cool. The first one, I think I remember, Game On with AI. I think it used that before. Turning AI into play, from code to play. It's not getting the pithy yet. It's not getting shorter, but I think those are punchier. They are good. Got
those are better.
Emoji in.
2 and 3 is definitely better.
If we needed to get really specific on titles, like this is something that's true about social media posts and YouTube titles, etc. Sometimes there is a 250 character limit, so we could tell it that.
Yeah.
The corollary is possible that it would then try to use all 250 characters, but these are the things to play with, right?
Yes.
You tell it.
Well, like for instance, you could ask him now, can you give us an alternate pithy title for episode 184, right? You didn't give it that dynamic just because it's supposed to be an SEO content writer. Not all your content's supposed to be pithy.
Right. Yep.
Right? So AI's playful power, which
it does not understand pithy.
Yeah,
and if we want something that's like 3 or 4 words, we might need to get that specific with it. Now, in one sense, it is pithy. Like it's a short phrase, but we know that this doesn't show well on a social media post or something.
So anyway, we can work it out. Mordecai is doing his job. We could work it out.
So far,
so what's our less softball throw to Mordecai?
Now, I think should we use an actual future episode, or should we use a current episode's outline? So we've already given some outlining to some of our current episodes and upcoming episodes. Should we use an upcoming and see if it can kind of get to a title for us?
See if it can create an episode? Yeah, let's do...
Pick one.
Let's do episode... trying to figure out which ones I want to do here. Episode 193. Because we definitely do not have a title for episode 193.
I want to make sure it can see it. I'm curious.
Yeah.
I want to see if it knows where the information is on this. Otherwise, I'll have to copy and paste, which I don't want to do that. Yeah, it may not have synced because we worked on it tonight or something else, but it's not finding episode 193. I don't know why that is off the cuff. So, let's see. What do you want me to take? The key message?
Yeah, throw in the key message. Drop that in. Let's see. See if we can do something with that. So again, this would be where we troubleshoot. So like it's not finding the page. So if we were just doing this live on an episode, this would be where Will would troubleshoot to see what data is it finding. Like is it looking at the right data source?
My goal here would be for it to generate a title for us, brand new. We don't have a title yet for this episode. Build something. And then I gave it the key message. Let's see what it can come up with. It's thinking. Let's craft a compelling episode title and brief outline. Well, we already have
gave us an outline. That's funny. Subscription stranglehold. That's actually pretty good. Decoding software price wars and decrypts AI magic. That's actually like it could be. It needs to be shorter, but that's much better than anything we've come up with so far.
Where's the titles idea? Here we go. Because we had some title ideas that we were liking.
Yeah.
But it didn't get near close to those.
Whoa.
Okay, so then.
Oh, okay. We already had 37 cents of base camp. 37 cents of base camp was already in the thing. I was like, how did I get that information?
Yep.
Okay, I mean,
yeah.
that's not
That's
bad
actually
outline. That's
pretty much
close.
on point with the outline we have.
Yeah, it's pretty much on point with what we created. I dig this. Yeah, let's test this out with a couple other ones here. Let's well, no, let's not try a new one. Let's mess with an idea here I have for a second.
Okay.
Let's what would be You're doing great. Give us some ideas for what content would be great for clips. Right? So like it obviously doesn't have the video content, but like what would be good topics for fun clips?
The price shock clip, right? So focus on the moment where we reveal the price difference. Compare compare 37 signals quote. Descript specific AI feature and Descript that drastically cut your production time. These are good things we should clip. Hopefully we do this when we record this episode.
Well, I was thinking like backtracking here for a second, right? Like we're planning out the episode. Yep. It would be not a bad idea to have ideas ahead of time of what could be fun clips in the episode, because then we'll make sure we do we talk about something in a succinct way like that. Yeah, that's not bad. This is stuff that I would love to do in an episode. Like, makes total sense. And Will's 100% copying this and dropping it into our document outline for the
no reason
for the
not
episode.
To have extra information. It's like, it's fine. Gonna have to put it somewhere. You can organize it later. But
so what if we ask it this? Okay, what if we need new ideas for episodes that we have not talked about yet? Good luck.
I should have given it parameters. Oh no, I don't know how many ideas it's gonna give us.
Oh yeah,
I should have been like 3 ideas or something.
We're gonna be here for 10 days just watching ideas generating.
It's just thinking forever. Yeah, I just broke dust.
Mordecai's like, I've got ideas. Oh, do I?
Quantum computing. Okay.
Balancing innovation with mental health, exploring the intersection of technology and well-being, focus on how tech can both positively and negatively affect mental health, highlighting tools and practices. That's an interesting topic idea that we've never actually dealt with.
I like it. it. On the other side, biohacking technology. Investigate the growing trend of biohacking and wearable tech that aims to optimize human performance and health. Discuss ethical considerations and future trends.
Decentralized education, blockchain's role in learning. That's hilarious. Solar-powered tech sustaining the future. Okay.
With
all AI, it's not gonna come up with everyone's gonna be a banger. There's a couple decent episode ideas in that list. We've never talked about any of those things. That's for sure.
It's true. It is true. I don't think I will ever be qualified to discuss quantum computing.
Speak for yourself. I understand it now.
You've been working with AI a lot on that?
Well, I read up on it yesterday. That's
smart,
really
smart.
Yeah. I read a Facebook post. I now know what quantum computing is.
Oh man.
What else
interesting
should we get
task
Mordecai to do?
What's something that we do all the time? We have to come up with ideas. We have to.
Perfect! I've got this. Okay, Mordecai, it's Christmas. We need to tell people. We wanna highlight some of our old episodes in fun Twitter posts. Craft 10 Twitter posts highlighting popular episodes from the past.
We kind of did this when we did this past season, but this would be easier having an expert on our side that could write it.
Well, it would have been funnier because we made it look like on Twitter that Mordecai actually did this. But
true.
Will was the one who went and found all of our old episodes.
That's true. All right, feeling tech stressed this holiday? Check out our episode on anxiety relief in a tech crazy world for tips on staying chill. Pretty good.
That's pretty solid.
Tech detox, holiday stress relief. It's pretty good. Oh no! Naughty or nice? Make sure your social media is the latter. Dive into tech-savvy and authentic social media with Chris Crosdale for some holiday networking charm.
Okay.
Mordecai!
I
What a
see
man.
you, Mordecai!
Unwrap the wonders of AI this holiday with AI and storytelling and space pirates. I love that episode. That's so fun. Tech meets adventure. I mean, I'm not copying all of these down.
I mean, these are great ideas. Hold on, what's that one? Have yourself an Apple little holiday. C. Will the Apple Vision Pro revolutionize education? Feeling crafty this season? Try Makerspaces in Steamhead from episode 78.
Yep.
Interesting.
Something I could have told it there, or actually we could write into the instructions. Good thing I've been copying and pasting all this stuff. So we put in the instructions. All right, so social media, right? If we ask you to assist with social media posts, e.g. writing posts or drafting outlines, make sure to include at High-Tech Podcast or hashtag High-Tech Hijinks as applicable. Is this a great example? Not necessarily. We might not always want to tag ourselves, but like the hashtag maybe. Like if we have it right for us, there's no sense not having it include at the hashtag High-Tech Hijinks or whatever our handle would be.
No, I agree. That's a good idea.
So, you kind of write these things and tweak them into existence. Hey, write a Twitter post for me featuring episode 180. So it should make sure the High-Tech Hijinks is in this post.
Yeah. So 180 High-Tech Podcast.
There you go.
The secret sauce of eliminating effort with AI in 11 labs and streamline your workflows. First of all, let's make sure that's actually episode 180. Episode 180.
Let's fact check the
eliminate effort with AI in 11 labs. That is indeed episode
Mordecai!
180 of the High-Tech Podcast.
Mordecai.
There you go, Mordecai. It's even got a place to insert the link from the episode. That monster. This is cool. I think for now that's enough of walking through it. I think just kind of retrospectively looking at this from what Will did, I think there's a couple things to note on how to do this with Dust, right? You connect to the data source, you write instructions, select which data sources you want to then end up using from what you connected, and then I think, Will, you were the one who put this down this way. Test, tweak instructions, revise data sources, test. It's not going to just happen immediately, right? You need to do some testing. Even the stuff that Will and I just did here. If we were actually building this for real use every day, there would have been some points in our testing. We would have stopped and looked at what data it was accessing so it could be more useful to us. But then you launch it. And I think this is where what Will and I were trying to show in the last episode of how these types of tools can be useful is you can end up creating mini experts to help produce content or do something that you would have ended up doing, right? Imagine being, like, we use this in kind of a fun episode generating social media posting way, but like imagine being a content writer for courses and needing to write course content off of what you're doing and speedily, quickly doing it, right? Like all of us can do that, but an AI tool can help us do it quicker, start to generate ideas by being an expert in the stuff that you've already done. Right, where you could build an AI assistant to be an expert in the voice and writing style and proper learning design and all of that stuff that you do here. But even from an organizational standpoint, like I can see connecting this into different documents from like project management guidelines to marketing guidelines to accessibility. Our team's looking into how to do this with accessibility. Right, where you can get an agent that can help speak into accessibility, or even get resources for students or people at your organization much faster than a search bar on a website. Right, this is, I think, where these types of tools are super powerful, and tools like Dust, who are a little bit more premium, allow you to do this in a way that, yes, you could build some custom GPTs to do this type of idea, but it's going to be much harder. Dust is guiding you through the process. And that's what I think is really cool about what Will has discovered with this tool and has been working with them, that this is a super useful tool. So definitely go check out Dust. We will provide the link on our website to go check out Dust. We did last week for our episode last week, but we'll do again this week as you're looking at it. I think it is a super helpful tool. And I think the last thing we wanted to do, Will, was just share pricing. Oh, you're gonna ask it. What's
find
your
out.
pricing? Okay,
Right?
do it.
This is a premium tool. You pay monthly if you're just kind of 1 user, 2 users. You can get enterprise. I know that. You can do large batches and stuff like that. But this is a little ironic to me that it doesn't just have the answer. It is trying to search. Here we go though. It's returning it. So $29 per month per user. That's not cheap, but I would say if you consider all of the things that it can do and it can do with your data, you could potentially reduce other AI tools or other workflows you're doing. This would save Josh and I tons of time. If Josh and I used this tool to if we actually had Mordecai as our little podcast writing buddy, it would make all of our message writing, outlining much quicker. It would save Chris time on social media. Like, I see it being worth the $29, but it is $29 a month, and so you need to be ready for that if you're gonna kind of do this kind of work. So check it out. Head over to dust.tt. That's the website. We'll make sure that's all linked and all that kind of fun stuff. But that is our demo on how to write one of these assistants. Now, what's true of us and this larger subject is that we're promoting AI buddies. They've got assistants, they've got agents, whatever. AI buddies. What we've just shown you is possible with ChatGPT. It is possible with custom GPTs. It is possible with competitors. The point of what we're showing you with these kinds of tools is you build the tool around a set of instructions and around data sources. What you'd need to do if you did this in ChatGPT is keep those instructions handy, and you'd have to kind of copy and paste them or use old chats and fill chats up with lots of extra information. That's not always the most efficient way to work with one of these tools, right? Eventually, an existing chat with an LLM can become too much data. It can become too much memory where the instructions start to conflict or it forgets something or it hallucinates, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. These agents, when you write them and create them in whatever platform you're doing, these instructions are the core starting point. And no matter how many conversations you have with them, they will always go to those instructions first, no matter what you tell them. So that's the thing that makes them so powerful and reusable and scalable for more than just the work I'm doing. But if I would need to do work with a team of 10 people, we would use the agent we'd use the AI buddy as our standard operating procedure. The AI buddy would have all of those requirements we'd have for whatever the task is. And when all the 10 unique individuals on the team used the buddy, they would all have the same starting foundation without any sharing around instructions and changing them accidentally in a Google Doc or stuff like that. Like, that is the value of tools like this. If you're thinking, I can just do that in GPT, there are ways, but it's not going to be the same, and it's not going to be as scalable right now. Now, if GPT puts out their tool that's comparable and they try and compete in this market, it is what it is, but that's Dust. That's why we're looking at tools like this. That's why we're considering what this does for work with AI.
Yeah.
Boom.
It's solid. There it is. Okay, folks, just a reminder, you can find us on all the socials, primarily Twitter and YouTube at High Tech Podcast or at High Tech Pod. Hit us up on email inbox at hightechpod.us. If you'd like to be on the podcast, you take issue with something we said, you want to tell us how great we are, I don't know, you think about it, whatever you'd like to say. Inbox at hightechpod.us is a great way to connect with us, specifically Will, and then he tells me about it. The website, hightechpod.us. Make sure to check it out. We'll have links to stuff like Dust and tools that we've created, things like that. This episode will specifically link out to Dust and their website, so you can check that out as well over there at hightechpod.us. All right, folks, this is a wrap on another week. Empowering minds.
Embracing tech.
Cheers.
Buckle up, let's ride.